The Houston Texans have 2 preseason games left, one joint practice with the Rams and a handful of other practices, and the preseason is over with the regular season in sight, on the horizon. Where are we worrying about this Texans team? There's 3 spots that I worry about with this Texans team right now, and some of this could get sorted out before the preseason is over. There's still time to figure some of these things out. I'll start by saying injuries don't count amongst this. You're always a little worried about injuries. And Will Anderson's dinged up right now, and so is Kamari Lassiter, and so is Titus Howard. But it's still about a month until they play the first regular season game. So I'm not super worried about players that are injured right now. Now, obviously, if a player has a super significant injury history, that's something that we'll worry about a little bit should it pop up. But injuries right now, not going to qualify in the where do you worry for this Texans team, okay? So where's the worry? Let's start with the running back room. And I like Joe Mixon. I believe in Joe Mixon, and I believe Mixon has the potential to be an absolute juggernaut this season for the Houston Texans. Statistically, he could be super impressive. He's my running back in my big fantasy league. And I just feel like the Texans are going to lean on Mixon. They're going to get in the red zone a lot of times, and they're going to be surprising people with their chances and ability to run the football in the red zone, certainly in the short red zone near the goal line. Mixon is fantastic. He had a ton of touchdowns last year. He got tackled at like the 1-yard line 6 or 7 times last year and then saw another teammate score. And I tell you all this to say, yeah, I'm worried about the running back room outside of Joe Mixon, not really Joe Mixon. But Mixon has missed most of training camp with an injury. If he goes down, who's running back 2? I mean, today it feels like it would be Cam Akers, who was a free agent for a reason. And though he's had some impressive moments in training camp, are you really ready to watch Cam Akers be the primary running back on a Sunday in the regular season when the game matters? You really ready for Cam Akers to run out of the tunnel with the offense in week 2 of the season when the Bears are in town on Sunday Night Football? And if it's not Cam Akers, who would it be? Dare Ogunbowale? That'd be among the worst backup running backs in all of football if Dare Ogunbowale was the backup for this team. Then there's the Dameon Pierce case. Is he good enough to stick on this team? And if he is on this team, does he have a role as the backup running back, or is he somebody else? There's a couple of other names that this team has. Jawar Jordan and British Brooks are rookies that are options. And then J.J. Taylor. I don't feel good about any of these running backs as far as the depth portion of the running back room goes. Backup running back, the 3rd spot, even the 4th spot in the running back room, it's quite tedious right now for the Houston Texans, and I'm a little worried about that. I don't know that there's a late round pick that you could trade to somebody and solve this to where you'd feel a whole heck of a lot better. It just may be one of those things that the Texans sort of ignored it outside of getting Joe Mixon. And if Mixon is healthy, his typical bell cow self, you don't have to worry about it too much. But a guy that's already been dinged up in training camp, I'm worried about the guys behind him. And inevitably, you want to be able to play a 2 in a 1-2 punch at running back. And the Texans, they don't really have a 2 right now in that 1-2 punch. So depth at running back is something that I'm worried about here with this Texans team. I'm also worried about depth at the linebacker spot. Look, Azeez Al-Shaair, I loved the addition of Azeez Al-Shaair. We probably don't talk about the addition of Azeez Al-Shaair enough at that linebacker spot. He's going to be the extension of DeMeco Ryans on the field. He's going to have the little green dot on his helmet, and he is going to help make sure everybody's in the positions they need to be in on defense. And Christian Harris is supposed to be out there with him, but Harris came back for approximately half a practice and then had to leave practice with an injury. He's practiced half a practice in all of training camp. So a little worried there, especially with Harris maybe re-aggravating something closer to the season. If this is a beginning of training camp injury like it was for Harris, he's got plenty of time, more than enough time. Right now, though, closer to the season, a re-aggravation, there's a question mark about him. And look, I like Henry Toe. Jake Hansen's had a nice camp. I don't want those guys to be on the field a ton for this Texans team. They run a lot of two linebacker sets, so it's going to be to just be Azeez Al-Shaair and somebody else, and maybe in short spurts, To'o and Jake Hansen, and maybe even to a lesser extent, Neville Hewitt could fill in and handle those things, but it's still not as fun and impressive as when you start to think about Azeez Al-Shaair and what Christian Harris was able to do at the back end of last season, how he kind of came on as one of the defenders that you were excited to see this season. So a little worried about the linebackers, though. I hope Jake Hansen makes me eat my words there and he can fill in admirably. D'Amico Ryans praised him a ton, talked about how they teach him all the linebacker spots, probably in large part because they may need him to play some of the linebacker spots or any of the linebacker spots over the course of this season. Neville Hewitt's been okay in training camp. It didn't look great in the preseason games. And Henry To'o is a very smart player. I just don't know if the physical limitations are going to keep him from being a player that you're content to see out there on the field. So add linebacker depth to my list of things that I'm a little worried about with this Texans team. A minute here for my friends at Prize Picks, the best and easiest way to play a daily fantasy. And with my code Stoots, STOOTS, you play your first five, you're going to get $50 in bonus. Just use the link in the description down below. It'll autofill the code. And if not, STOOTS will get you that play your first five and get $50 in bonus offer added to your account. Prize Picks makes it so easy. A couple of taps and you can turn $10 into $1,000 with the way that they scale up some of your entries. They've even got the flex entries where you don't have to win every piece of your entry. And what is Prize Picks? You're simply predicting more or less on given stats for players across all different sorts of sports, from basketball to baseball to MMA, and of course, football season's here. Even the preseason has fantastic options for you with Prize Picks. Check out the link in the description down below. PrizePicks.com, code Stoots, STOOTS, and play your first five and get 50 on Prize Picks. Prize Picks, the best way to play daily fantasy. Finally, the third thing that I'm worried about the cornerbacks. And I know it sounds silly to say that you're worried about the cornerbacks when Derek Stingley has been literally the best version of himself in training camp. Kamari Lassiter looks like a steal, having been not anywhere close to being the first cornerback taken and being as impressive as he looked in training camp. But even Jeff Okudah's played pretty decently for a veteran that's looking to bounce back and reclaim some of the glory that was supposed to be headed his way as a top pick in the NFL draft from a few years ago. But this is where I do get a little worried when you factor in injury history. Derek Stingley, if he can't go at any point this season, you're looking at a rookie in Kamari Lassiter, and I know he's been good. He's been really good, okay? But at some point, you're going to have rookie moments with Kamari Lassiter. And it could be Kamari Lassiter and Jeff Okudah as your two cornerbacks. And you look at the quarterbacks that this team is going to face, some of the opponents that they've got on the schedule, and how tough it could be to defend opposing teams if a rookie and Jeff Okudah are your two starting cornerbacks. And beyond those guys, what's Desmond King doing at the slot cornerback spot? Is that even going to be Desmond King? Is it going to be Jalen Petrie playing there a whole lot more? Miles Bryant's a backup option at slot corner, but he was a guy that Patriots fans celebrated that he signed with a different team. Then you've got C.J. Henderson, who's been wholly unimpressive throughout the course of training camp after a pretty solid spring. And then there's a myriad of other options that you wouldn't be excited to see out there playing cornerback. And look, if Stingley's healthy, that takes care of a lot of issues, and you can survive a couple of Lassiter rookie moments if Derek Stingley's going to be healthy the whole season. I believe if Stingley plays 17 games, he's going to be an All-Pro. And not just a second-team All-Pro. I believe he's going to be first-team All-Pro if he plays 17 games. He just hasn't played that many games, okay? The health issues are a concern. And I know I started saying, hey, you can't have health as one of the worries for this team. Well, a guy with a significant injury history like Stingley, he gets the exception to the rule that I stated at the beginning. So then all of a sudden, a rookie is cornerback one. It becomes a little bit easier to expose him to some more rookie moment opportunities, and it could get a little iffy from a defense standpoint for the Texans if they don't have Derek Stingley, and it's Lassiter and Okudah or Lassiter and King, and there's just not a lot of combinations that I like from the cornerback situation if it doesn't include Derek Stingley and Kamari Lassiter. So those three spots, running back depth, linebacker depth, and cornerback depth, are three places that I'm worried about, but let's put them in order. Let's go number 3. I'm going to go linebacker depth is where I'm sort of the least worried amongst those three. They've got options, and as soon as Christian Harris is back healthy, that depth actually becomes pretty decent when you think about To'o and Jake Hansen as depth players, and then even Neville Hewitt beyond them. And maybe if they keep another one of these linebackers, an option certainly there as well. So I'm going to put them number 3. Number 2, I'm going to go with cornerback. I'm kind of, cheating on myself here with the conversation about injuries, things like that. If Lassiter and Stingley are healthy, the cornerback depth is going to matter a whole heck of a lot less. And number 1 in my worry list here amongst these three is the running back room. I believe in Joe Mixon. I believe he can be the bell cow running back, but you still need a 2 in the 1-2 punch. And nobody has completely, wholly separated themselves as the 2 in the 1-2 punch here for the Texans. Where are you worried about this Texans team? Did I miss something? Let me know in the comment section down below. On your way down there, throw me a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check out our friends at Prize Picks and use my code STOOTS, STOOTS, the link in the description down below to play your first 5 and get $50 in bonus at Prize Picks. Prize Picks, the best, easiest way to play daily fantasy. You won't be disappointed hanging out with our friends at Prize Picks. Appreciate you watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Buy you a red hat if you haven't bought yourself a red hat. The blue ones are almost sold out. May already be sold out by the time you see this, but plenty of red hats for you here. Buy you a red hat. Appreciate you watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. And can't wait until we talk Texans again soon.